You are standing at the edge of something that has no name yet. Not because it doesn't exist, but because the language for what you're about to understand hasn't fully arrived in your vocabulary. It's been forming, quietly, in the spaces between your thoughts, in the hours when you couldn't sleep, in the moments when you looked at your life and felt something that wasn't quite sadness and wasn't quite longing, but was something closer to the feeling of standing in a doorway, not inside, not outside, but suspended in the passage between. That feeling is not random. That feeling is a signal. And tonight, right now, in this moment, in whatever hour you found this transmission, the signal has reached its final intensity. The universe has been sending you messages for weeks, maybe months, maybe longer than you want to admit. Small ones first, gentle redirections, the kind you could ignore if you chose to, the kind that let you roll over and go back to sleep, back to the familiar version of your life, back to the story you've been telling about who you are and what's possible for you. But you didn't stop receiving them, and so the messages got louder, and then they got undeniable. And now you're here, standing at this exact threshold, watching this exact transmission, at this exact moment. And what you're about to understand is that this is not coincidence. This is not algorithm. This is not random content delivery through a digital platform. What this actually is at the level of quantum reality, is a final signal, a last transmission before a very specific window closes. Before a very specific gate, the one that has been standing open in your reality for this entire period of your life, reaches the end of its opening cycle. The gate closes at midnight, not the midnight on a clock, not a number. Midnight is the term for the threshold moment, the exact point of maximum darkness before the shift, the precise second in any cycle where what was becomes what is, where the old state fully collapses and the new state fully emerges. Every cycle has a midnight, and you are in the final minutes of yours. This transmission is the warning you were supposed to receive before that moment arrives. So let's begin. Let's begin right here, right now, at the edge of what you've been approaching without knowing you were approaching it. Let's begin at the gate. There is a principle in quantum mechanics called the observation effect. It states that the act of observing a quantum system changes the system itself. A particle in superposition, existing in multiple possible states simultaneously, collapses into a single defined state the moment it is observed. Before observation, it is everything it could be. After observation, it is one specific thing. The observation doesn't just measure reality. The observation creates reality. You are being observed right now, not by me, not by a person, by something far more precise than any human awareness. The universe the field of quantum probability that underlies every particle of matter, every wave of energy, every moment of experience, is observing you right now. And the observation is specific. It is looking at exactly one thing. It is looking at whether you are ready to collapse from superposition into definition, whether you are ready to stop being everything you might be and become specifically what you are. That's what the warning is about. The universe doesn't send warnings out of fear or threat. It doesn't send them as punishment or pressure. It sends them the way a navigator sends a final position check before a ship enters a narrow passage. Not because the passage is dangerous, but because the passage requires precision. Because the window for entering it correctly is specific. Because if you miss the window, you don't get another one until the next full cycle. And the next full cycle is a long time from now. The warning is this. You are in the window right now. You have been in the window for this entire period of your life. This strange, liminal, between worlds time that you've been living in. This time of things falling away. This time of old identities feeling too small. This time of not quite knowing who you are anymore, but sensing, somewhere below the uncertainty, that whoever you're becoming is something far more real than whoever you've been. That time has a closing point, and the closing point is now. So before we go any further, before we cross through what this transmission is actually about, I need you to do something. I need you to feel where you are right now. Not philosophically, not conceptually, physically, energetically. Feel the specific quality of this moment in your life. Feel the weight of what you've been carrying. Feel the strangeness of the in-between. Feel the pull, that forward pull, that sense of something on the other side of a door you haven't opened yet. Can you feel it? That pull is the gate, and the gate is open. Now let's talk about what the gate actually is. Let's talk about what the universe has been trying to tell you, and why tonight, why this specific moment in the cycle is the last transmission before the window closes. In physics, a phase transition is the process by which a system crosses from one state of matter to another. Water becomes ice. Ice becomes steam. A solid becomes a liquid. These transitions happen not gradually, but at specific threshold points, specific temperatures, specific pressures, specific moments where the accumulated energy of the system reaches a critical point, and the entire structure reorganizes at once, not piece by piece, all at once. The whole system crosses the threshold simultaneously. Consciousness works the same way. This is something that the old models of personal development got wrong. The old models said growth was gradual, that you became who you were meant to be through steady, incremental improvement. 1% better every day. Small habits compounding over time. patient, linear, measurable progress from who you are toward who you want to be. And some of that is true. Some of that is real. But the quantum model of consciousness says something different. It says that the incremental work, the daily practice, the accumulated insight, the slow building of awareness, is not the transformation itself. It is the energy accumulation that makes the transformation possible. It is the heating of the water that eventually, at exactly the right temperature, causes the entire structure to reorganize at once. The transformation itself is not gradual. The transformation is a threshold crossing. It is a single moment where everything shifts at once, where the version of you that has been building, accumulating, preparing, where that version reaches the exact temperature required for phase transition and crosses from one state of being into another. Not incrementally, not gradually, all at once. The whole system reorganizes. The whole reality restructures. The whole identity crosses from what it was into what it is. And here is the critical thing about phase transitions. They require a trigger. The water can be at 99 degrees for a very long time. It can be 1 degree away from boiling for hours. But it will not cross the threshold until it reaches the exact temperature required. And when it does reach that temperature, it doesn't need to be encouraged. It doesn't need to be convinced. It doesn't need to be ready. The physics takes over. The transition happens because the conditions are met. You are at 99 degrees right now. You have been accumulating the energy for this transition for longer than you know. Every experience that broke something open in you, every moment of loss that cleared something away, every time you sat with discomfort instead of running from it, every insight that arrived in the quiet hours, every version of yourself you had to let go of to keep moving forward. All of it has been accumulation. All of it has been the heating of the water. And the universe is sending you the final warning, because it can see what you can't quite see yet. It can see that you are 1 degree away. It can see that the threshold is right here, right now, in this window of time. It can see that the only thing standing between you and the crossing is the final act of surrender to the transition itself. That's what the warning is about. Not danger, not threat, timing. The warning is about timing. Because here is what happens when you are 1 degree away from a phase transition and you don't cross. The energy dissipates. The system cools. The threshold passes. And you don't lose everything you've built. The accumulation remains. But the window, the specific window where the conditions are precisely right for the transition, that window closes. And you have to wait for the next cycle to bring the conditions back into alignment. The next cycle is not tonight. Tonight is the window. If this transmission is reaching you at the right moment, take a second to like this video and subscribe. you were meant to find this channel. So let's talk about what's on both sides of this gate. Let's talk about what you're crossing from and what you're crossing into. Because the crossing only becomes possible when you can see both sides clearly. When you can see what you're leaving behind and what you're arriving at. When the gate becomes visible as a gate, not as a wall, not as an obstacle, not as a threat, but as a doorway between two states of being. On this side of the gate, the side you've been standing on, there is a version of you that has been operating from a frequency that no longer matches your actual reality. This is not a criticism. This is physics. When you were younger, when you were in the earlier chapters of your story, you developed a set of beliefs, a set of perceptions, a set of automatic responses to the world that were perfectly calibrated to the reality you were living in then. They were appropriate. They were adaptive. They were, in the truest sense, the right operating system for the conditions you were navigating. But the conditions changed. You changed. Your reality evolved. Your understanding deepened. Your capacity expanded. And the old operating system, the one that was built for an earlier version of your circumstances, kept running. Not because it was right anymore, not because it was serving you, but because that's what operating systems do. They run, they persist, they continue executing the programs they were installed with until something interrupts the execution and installs something new. On this side of the gate, the old programs are still running. You can feel them. You've been feeling them. The reflexive contraction when something new presents itself. The automatic doubt when something feels too good to be true. The familiar pattern of getting close to a threshold and then finding a reason to step back. The story, the specific, well-worn, deeply grooved story about why you can't quite have what you actually want, about why the life you sense is possible for you is somehow not available to you specifically. That story is not the truth. That story is a program. And on this side of the gate, the program runs the reality. The program generates the experience. The program creates the evidence that confirms itself, because that's what quantum observation does. It collapses probability into specific outcomes. And when the program running your observation is calibrated to limitation, the outcomes that collapse into your reality are limited ones. This is not your fault. This is physics. But here is the thing about physics. It doesn't care about fault. It only responds to frequency. And the warning the universe is sending you tonight is that you have been running this old program long enough. Not as a judgment, as a fact. The old program has served its purpose. It has carried you to this exact threshold. And now it is time, specifically, precisely, tonight-level time, to let it complete its final execution and step into the new state. Because on the other side of the gate, Something is waiting that the old program cannot generate. Let me tell you what's on the other side. On the other side of this gate is a version of your reality that operates from a fundamentally different quantum frequency. Not a better life in the way that phrase gets used. Not more money or more success, or more of whatever the culture says you should want. Something more precise than that. Something more personal than that. Something that can only be described as alignment. The specific, physical, cellular experience of being in. You are in the configuration that requires the least energy to maintain, because it is the most natural expression of what you actually are. And from that ground state, everything that seemed impossible from the old frequency becomes not just possible but inevitable. That's what's on the other side. That's what the gate opens into. Now let's talk about why tonight. Why this specific window? Why the universe is sending the final warning now, and not a week from now, or a month from now, or whenever you feel more ready. There is a concept in quantum physics called resonance windows. Moments when the oscillation of a system aligns with the natural frequency of its environment in a way that dramatically amplifies the system's capacity for change. Think of a child on a swing. If you push at random moments, the swing barely moves. But if you push at exactly the right moment in the swing's natural arc, at the precise point where the push aligns with the momentum already present, the swing goes dramatically higher with the same amount of force. The timing creates the amplification. Consciousness has resonance windows. There are specific periods in the arc of any consciousness evolution where the conditions align in a way that makes crossing a threshold dramatically easier than it would be at any other point, where the accumulated energy, the environmental conditions, the internal readiness, and the quantum probability field all converge into a single window of amplified potential, where the push that would normally move you 1 degree moves you 10 degrees, where the surrender that would normally produce a small shift produces a complete reorganization. You are in one of those windows right now. How do you know? You know because of everything that has been happening in your life in this period. Look at it. Look at the specific texture of this time you've been living through. The things that have been ending, the things that have been beginning, the relationships that have been clarifying, some deepening, some falling away, some revealing themselves to be something different than you thought they were. The sense of acceleration, of things moving faster than feels comfortable. The sense of compression, of time itself feeling different, denser, more charged. The sense of something approaching. That something is the threshold. And the window, the resonance window, is the period right before the threshold, where the conditions are most favorable for crossing. You've been living in the window. This entire strange, liminal, between worlds period has been the window. And the window has a closing point. Every resonance window does. The alignment doesn't hold forever. The conditions that make the crossing easy will not remain in their current configuration indefinitely. The final warning is the signal that the window is at its closing edge. Not that it's closed. It's still open. You're still in it. You're still at the exact point where the crossing is available to you, where the resonance is still present, where the push will still produce the amplification. But the final warning means this is the last moment of maximum alignment. This is the last transmission before the window begins to close. This is the midnight signal, the last clear message before the cycle turns. And the message is simple. Cross now, not tomorrow, not when you feel more ready, not when you've thought about it more, prepared more, understood more. Now, in this window, in this resonance, in this specific moment of maximum alignment between where you are and where you're going. The gate is open. Cross now. But before we get to the crossing itself, before we move through the practice that will take you from standing at the gate to stepping through it, I want to tell you a story. Because the crossing is not just a concept. It is not just a quantum principle or a philosophical framework. It is something that happens to real people, in real moments, in the specific and irreversible way that all real threshold crossings happen. This is a story about a person named Elara. Elara had spent most of her adult life being extremely good at surviving, not just surviving in the basic sense. She was successful by any external measure. She had built things. She had achieved things. She had created a life that, from the outside, looked like exactly what you would want. The career that made sense, the relationships that fit the story, the identity that had been assembled carefully, deliberately, from the pieces that were available to her and the understanding she had at the time. But Elara had a specific feeling that had been with her for years. She couldn't name it precisely. It was something like being in the right room, but standing in the wrong corner. Something like wearing clothes that fit perfectly, but were somehow not her clothes. Something like performing a role she was genuinely good at, but that was, in some way, she couldn't articulate. A role. She had learned to ignore this feeling. She had learned to interpret it as evidence of her own inadequacy, as proof that she was never quite satisfied, never quite grateful enough, never quite able to appreciate what she had. She had made the feeling into a character flaw, and she had gotten very good at managing it, at keeping it quiet, at filling the space it occupied with enough activity and achievement and forward motion that it couldn't quite be heard. And then something happened that she didn't plan for. It wasn't dramatic. That's the thing about the universe's warnings. They are rarely dramatic in the way you expect. They arrive quietly, in ordinary moments, through the most mundane of circumstances. For Ilara, it was a conversation with someone she barely knew. A brief exchange in an unremarkable context. The kind of conversation that shouldn't have mattered at all. The person said something to her. Something simple. Something that in another moment might have passed without landing. And something in Ilara heard it at a frequency she didn't know she was capable of receiving. The words went through the surface of her and hit something underneath. Something that had been waiting quietly for a very long time. The words were, "You don't have to keep performing the life you've been performing." That was all. You don't have to keep performing the life you've been performing. And Ilara felt the gate. Not metaphorically. She felt it the way you feel a change in air pressure when a door opens in a sealed room. She felt the shift in the quality of reality around her. She felt the specific sensation of standing at the edge of something that, if she crossed it, would reorganize everything. Not destroy everything. Not eliminate everything she had built. Reorganize it. Reconfigure it around a different center. A truer center. And she felt, simultaneously, the pull to step back. The pull to say, "That's interesting, but not now." The pull to say, "I'll think about that." The pull to say, "I'm not ready. I'm not sure. I need more information. I need more time. I need more certainty about what's on the other side before I commit to the crossing." She recognized the pull. She had felt it before. Every time she had approached a threshold in her life, she had felt this pull. And every time before, she had followed it. She had stepped back from the gate. She had returned to the familiar. And the gate had closed. And the cycle had continued. And the feeling, that right room, wrong corner feeling, had continued with it. But this time, something was different. This time, she could feel the window. She couldn't have explained it rationally. She couldn't have produced evidence for it, or argued for it philosophically. But she could feel it the way you can feel weather changing before the change arrives. That specific quality of pressure in the air. That particular stillness before movement. That unmistakable sense of something about to shift. She could feel that this moment was different from the previous moments. That this gate had a different quality than the previous gates. That this window was not going to stay open indefinitely. And so, Ilara did something she had never done before at a threshold. She stopped. Not stopped moving forward. She stopped moving backward. She stopped the automatic retreat. She held herself at the edge of the gate. And she breathed. And she felt the full weight of everything she was about to leave behind, and everything she was about to step into. And she let herself feel both without running from either. She stood at the gate, and then she crossed. Not dramatically, not with fireworks or certainty or a complete understanding of what was on the other side. She crossed the way you step through a doorway when you don't know exactly what's in the next room. With a breath, with a decision, with the simple act of moving your weight from one foot to the other and committing to the direction of forward. And everything changed. Not immediately, not all at once in the external world, but at the level of frequency, at the level of what she was emitting and what was therefore collapsing into her reality. Everything changed in that moment. The old program stopped running, not because she deleted it, because she stepped out of the room where it operated, because she crossed the threshold into a state where its instructions were no longer relevant to the terrain she was standing on. In the weeks and months that followed, Ilara's external reality began to reorganize. The relationships that had been costing her more than they gave, they clarified. Some deepened into something real. Some fell away cleanly, without drama, the way leaves fall when the season changes. The work that had felt like performing, it transformed, not the work itself necessarily, but her relationship to it. The center shifted. The doing became an expression of the being rather than a substitute for it. And the feeling, the right room, wrong corner feeling, dissolved. Not because everything was perfect, not because there were no more challenges or uncertainties or moments of difficulty, but because she was standing in her own corner, because she was operating from her own frequency, because the gate was behind her now, and the old state had fully collapsed, and the new state was the only state available to her. There is no going back from a real threshold crossing. That's the thing about phase transitions. Water that has become steam cannot unbecome steam by simply deciding to. The energy state has changed. The molecular arrangement has reorganized. The new state is the state. And while you can apply new conditions to produce another transition, you cannot reverse the one that has already occurred. You cannot uncross a threshold that has been genuinely crossed. Ilara knew this. Standing on the other side of her gate, she knew this. And what surprised her was that instead of feeling loss, instead of grieving the old state the way she had feared she would, she felt something she could only describe as relief. The relief of not having to maintain the performance anymore. The relief of the old program finally, definitively completing its final execution. The relief of being in the state that required the least energy to sustain, because it was the most natural expression of what she actually was, her ground state. She had found her ground state, and the crossing had taken one breath at the gate, one breath, and the decision to move her weight forward instead of backward. That's what's available to you right now, in this window, at this gate, in this final warning moment of your own cycle. One breath. If you can feel yourself standing where Ilara stood, at the edge of the performance, sensing the gap between the frequency you've been broadcasting and the one that is actually yours, there is a complete guide written for exactly this crossing. The sealed timeline maps the full 5-phase sequence from diagnosis through threshold to sealed coherence, with the precision of someone who has charted every degree of the transition. You'll find it in the description below. I want to pause here and ask you something. Has there been a moment in your life, a crossing point, a threshold, a second where you knew with absolute certainty that something had shifted and there was no returning to what came before? Leave it in the comments. Not because it's a small thing, because naming it is part of the crossing. Let's talk about what that breath actually looks like. Let's talk about the practice, the specific, precise practice of threshold crossing that the quantum model of consciousness makes available to you in this window. Because the crossing is not mystical. It is not beyond your capacity. It is not something that requires years of preparation, or a specific set of circumstances, or a dramatic external event to trigger. The crossing is a practice, and the practice begins with recognition. The first step of the threshold crossing practice is to recognize the gate, to see it clearly as a gate, as a specific doorway between two specific states of being, not as a wall, not as an obstacle, not as a threat or a risk or a source of uncertainty. As a gate, a passage, a doorway that has been standing open in your reality, waiting for the moment when your frequency matches what's on the other side. Close your eyes if you can. Or if you're in a situation where closing your eyes isn't possible, soften your gaze and turn your attention inward. And feel for the gate. Feel for the specific place in your experience, not in your thoughts, not in your analysis, but in your direct felt experience, where you sense the threshold, where you sense the edge of something, where you sense the pull of what's on the other side. You know this feeling. You've been living with it. It's the thing underneath the restlessness. It's the thing that the busyness has been covering. It's the thing that arrives in the quiet moments and asks you, without words, whether you're ready. Feel for it now. Don't analyze it. Don't try to understand it, or categorize it, or determine whether it's real or whether you're making it up. Just feel for it. The way you feel for a wall in a dark room, not by thinking about where the wall should be, but by extending your awareness and sensing where the surface is. The gate is there. You can feel it. Now, and this is the second step, feel both sides. Feel the side you're on. Feel the specific quality of the state you've been living in. Not as a judgment, not as a criticism, but as a clear observation. Feel the weight of the old program. Feel the specific ways it has been shaping your experience. The contractions, the limitations, the familiar patterns of retreat. Feel the cost of maintaining the old state. Not dramatically, clearly. The way a scientist observes data, with precision and without emotional overlay. Feel the weight of what you've been carrying. And then, let your awareness extend through the gate to the other side. Don't try to see it in detail. Don't try to construct a specific picture of what your life will look like after the crossing. The details will emerge on the other side. What you're feeling for now is the frequency, the quality, the texture of the state that exists on the other side of this threshold. Feel for the relief. Feel for the ground state. Feel for what it would feel like to be in the most natural, most stable, most energy-efficient configuration of your own being. Feel for what it would feel like to not have to perform the old version anymore. Feel for what it would feel like to have the old program complete its final execution and the new state emerge. Can you feel it? Even faintly, even as the most distant signal, even as the slightest shift in the quality of your experience as your awareness extends through the gate. That feeling is real. That feeling is not imagination. It is quantum sensing, the capacity of consciousness to detect probability fields before they collapse into physical reality. You are sensing the state that is waiting for you on the other side of this threshold. You are sensing what the universe has been trying to show you with every signal it has been sending. This is the third step. Acknowledge the warning. Not with fear, with gratitude. The final warning is not a threat. It is a gift. It is the universe saying, the window is still open. The conditions are still aligned. The resonance is still present. The crossing is still available to you right now, in this moment, in this window. Acknowledge that you've received the signal. Say it, internally or aloud. I receive this. I hear this. I understand that this is the window and that the window is closing and that the crossing is available to me right now. Feel what shifts when you say that. Feel the acknowledgement itself as a threshold, because it is. Acknowledging the signal is itself a small crossing. It is the act of moving from unconscious proximity to the gate to conscious standing at the gate. It is the act of seeing the doorway for what it is. And now, the fourth step, the one that everything else has been building toward, the breath. Take a breath, not a special breath, not a technique, just a breath. A full, slow, complete breath that begins in your belly and expands through your chest and arrives at the top of your lungs and then releases, slowly, completely, all the way to empty. And on the exhale, release the old state, not by force, not by effort, not by trying to eliminate or destroy or overcome the old program, simply by releasing your grip on it, by letting the exhale carry away the energy you've been using to maintain the old configuration, by allowing the old state to complete its final execution, to run its last line of code and close. The exhale is the release. And on the next inhale, the one that arrives after the release, in the space of the empty. Feel the new state beginning to emerge. Not fully, not completely, not with all the details and certainty and clarity you might want, but as a frequency, as a quality of experience, as the first breath of the state that exists on the other side of the gate. The inhale is the crossing. You are crossing right now, in this breath, in this moment, in this window. The gate is open, and you are crossing. Take as long as you need with this. The practice is not rushed. The crossing doesn't have to be dramatic or definitive in this moment. It can be the beginning of the crossing, the first step through the doorway, with the full emergence happening over the hours and days that follow. What matters is that the direction changes. What matters is that the weight shifts from backward to forward. What matters is that you stop retreating from the gate and begin moving through it. Stay with the breath for as long as it takes. And when you're ready, when you feel the shift, however subtle, however slight, open your eyes or return your full attention to this transmission. Because there's more to understand about what happens next. There's more to understand about what the other side actually looks like when you arrive on it. Not in the abstract, in the specific, in the precise, practical, quantum mechanical way that a consciousness that has crossed a threshold begins to reorganize its reality. Let's talk about what changes. When a system crosses a phase transition, the reorganization is total, but not instantaneous in the external world. The internal state changes completely at the moment of crossing. The frequency shifts. The program changes. The quantum observer, the consciousness that is collapsing probability into specific reality, begins operating from a fundamentally different set of parameters. But the external world takes time to catch up. This is important to understand. This is one of the most common points of confusion for people who have genuinely crossed a threshold, and then wonder why the external evidence hasn't appeared yet. They crossed the gate. They felt the shift. They know something is different. But they look at their external circumstances and see the old reality still in place, and they interpret this as evidence that the crossing didn't work, that they're still on the old side of the gate, that nothing has actually changed. This is the critical misunderstanding. The external world is always a delayed reflection of the internal state. Always. Without exception. The quantum field collapses into physical reality with a time lag. Not because the universe is slow, but because physical reality has inertia. The old configurations have momentum. The old patterns have established themselves in the material world, and they require time to reorganize around the new frequency. Think of it this way. When you change the frequency of a radio, the static doesn't clear instantly. There's a moment of interference, the old signal and the new signal overlapping, creating noise, creating confusion. The old station fighting to maintain its signal against the new frequency. And then, as the tuning settles, as the new frequency becomes stable, the old signal drops away and the new signal comes in clear. After a threshold crossing, you will experience the static. You will experience the overlap period, the time between the internal shift and the external reorganization, the time when the new frequency is real, but the old patterns are still visible in your circumstances, the time when you might be tempted to conclude that nothing changed, that the crossing was an illusion, that you're still standing at the gate rather than having moved through it. Do not mistake the static for evidence that the crossing didn't happen. The static is evidence that it did. The interference is the old signal releasing. The noise is the old pattern dissolving. The confusion is the space between the old configuration and the new one, the liminal moment within the larger crossing, the smaller gate within the bigger one. Stay in your new frequency. This is the only instruction that matters in the static period. Stay in your new frequency. Not by forcing it, not by performing it, not by pretending the old patterns aren't still visible in your external world, but by continuing to operate from the internal state you crossed into, by continuing to observe from the new quantum position, by continuing to collapse probability from the new frequency rather than retreating to the old one, because the external world will catch up. It always does. The frequency always wins. And when it does, when the external reality begins to reorganize around the new internal state, the changes will not be small. They will not be incremental. They will not look like gradual improvement from where you were to where you're going. They will look like a completely different reality. They will look like the life that was always waiting on the other side of the gate, fully formed, fully available, fully real, as though it was always there and you simply couldn't see it from the old frequency, because it was always there. The quantum model of reality says that all possible states exist simultaneously in the probability field. The life on the other side of your gate is not something that needs to be created. It is not something that needs to be built from scratch, or earned through sufficient effort, or achieved through the right sequence of actions. It exists right now in the probability field as a fully formed state waiting for the frequency match that will collapse it into your observable reality. The gate is the frequency match. The crossing is the act of aligning your internal state with the state that already exists on the other side. This is why the warning is so urgent. This is why the final signal carries the quality of now rather than eventually, because the probability field that contains your new state, the state that matches your new frequency, is in maximum alignment with your current position right now. The resonance window is open. The conditions for the collapse are optimal. The universe has been sending signals to bring you to this exact point of maximum alignment. And the final warning is the signal that says, the alignment is here. The window is open. The collapse is available to you right now. Cross now. Not because you'll lose the new state if you don't. It will always exist in the probability field. But because the conditions for collapsing it into your observable reality are specifically, precisely, unusually favorable right now, because the resonance window amplifies the crossing. Because the push that would normally move you 1 degree will move you 10 degrees in this window. Because the surrender that would normally produce a small shift will produce a complete reorganization in this alignment. The final warning is not about fear. It is about opportunity. It is the universe saying, right now, the crossing costs less than it will at any other point. Right now, the gate is at its widest. Right now, the path from where you are to where you're going is at its most direct. Right now, everything that has been accumulating in you, all the energy, all the insight, all the readiness that has been building through this entire liminal period, is at its maximum charge, and the charge, right now, is sufficient for the crossing. Don't let it dissipate. Cross now. There is something else I need to tell you about the final warning. Something that goes deeper than the quantum mechanics of phase transitions and resonance windows. Something that touches the part of this that is not physics, but is still true. The universe sends warnings because it cares about the crossing. I know that sounds like a strange thing to say about a quantum field of probability. I know it sounds anthropomorphic, like I'm attributing intention to something that operates through mathematics rather than motivation. But here is what I mean. The universe, the field of quantum reality that underlies all experience, is not indifferent to consciousness. It is not neutral about whether you cross the gate or stay on the old side of it. The universe is oriented toward evolution. This is not mysticism. This is observable physics. The arrow of time points in one direction. Entropy increases. Systems evolve toward greater complexity, greater organization, greater capacity for experience. The universe is not static. It is moving. It is becoming, and consciousness, as the universe's capacity to observe itself, to experience itself, to know itself, is the leading edge of that becoming. Every threshold you cross, you are the universe crossing a threshold. Every gate you step through, you are the universe stepping through a gate. Every version of yourself you evolve into, the universe becomes something it wasn't before. This is why the signals come. This is why the warnings arrive. This is why the resonance windows open and the final transmissions are sent. Not because the universe needs you to cross. The universe will continue its evolution, with or without any individual crossing, but because the universe is oriented toward your crossing. Because the field of quantum probability is structured in a way that creates maximum support for consciousness evolution. Because the signals are not external impositions, but internal recognitions. The universe recognizing itself in you and sending the message, "You are ready. The gate is open. The time is now." This is the final warning. Not a warning of danger. A warning of readiness. A warning that says everything you've been building toward is available right now. Everything you've been accumulating the energy for is at the threshold of manifestation right now. The version of you that you've been sensing, that forward pull version, that ground state version, that version that doesn't require performance or effort to maintain, that version is right on the other side of the gate, right here, right now, in this window, in this alignment. And the gate is open. Now I want to speak to something specific, something that I know is present for some of you who are receiving this transmission. Something that has been the primary mechanism of retreat every time you've approached a threshold before. The fear that it's not real, the fear that the gate is an illusion, that the new state is wishful thinking, that the feeling of something on the other side is a projection of what you want rather than a perception of what actually exists. The fear that if you cross, if you actually commit to the crossing, if you actually release the old state and step into the new frequency, you'll find nothing there. You'll find that the probability field doesn't contain what you thought it did. You'll find that the life on the other side of the gate was a story you told yourself, and the crossing will leave you stranded between the old state you released and a new state that doesn't actually exist. This fear is the gate's last defense. Every threshold has it. Every crossing point generates this specific fear in this specific form at this specific moment, the moment just before the commitment to cross. It is the old program's final argument for maintaining the old state. It is the most sophisticated move the old operating system makes because it sounds like wisdom. It sounds like discernment. It sounds like the reasonable, careful voice of someone who has been hurt before and doesn't want to be hurt again. But it is not wisdom. It is the static. It is the interference between the old signal and the new one. It is the old frequency, generating its most compelling argument for why you shouldn't tune to the new frequency. It is the old state doing what all old states do when they sense the approach of a phase transition, contracting, intensifying, making itself louder, making its case more forcefully. The fear intensifies at the gate. This is not evidence that the gate is dangerous. It is evidence that you are close enough to the gate for the old program to feel threatened. The intensity of the fear is proportional to the proximity of the threshold. The louder the voice that says this isn't real, the closer you are to the crossing point. You are very close. So let me tell you, with the precision of someone who has crossed this specific threshold, what is on the other side of that fear? On the other side of the fear is the recognition that it was always real. Not the recognition that the new state is exactly what you imagined. It won't be. The new state on the other side of any real threshold is always more specific, more surprising, more genuinely itself than any image you could have constructed in advance. It is always more real than the picture you had of it. It is always stranger and cleaner and more precisely right than the version you were hoping for. But it is real. The probability field is not empty. The gate does not open onto nothing. The crossing does not leave you stranded. What is on the other side is not a story or a projection or a wish. It is a state of being that has always existed in the quantum field of your possibility, waiting for the frequency match that would collapse it into your observable reality. The fear is the last gate before the gate, and when you cross the fear, when you feel it fully and move through it rather than retreating from it, you arrive at the gate itself. And when you cross the gate, you arrive on the other side. And on the other side, you recognize yourself. And you understand that you were always going to end up here. That the entire journey, every experience, every loss, every threshold you approached and retreated from, every cycle of accumulation and near crossing, was the precise path to this exact gate. That nothing was wasted, that nothing was a mistake, that even the retreats served the accumulation, that you were always moving toward this crossing, even in the moments when you were moving away from it. The path was never wrong. You were always arriving here. And here is where you are, at the gate, in the window, in the final warning moment of this cycle. And if you can think of someone right now who is standing at their own gate, someone in that strange, liminal, between worlds place, consider sharing this with them. A transmission received alone opens one field. A transmission shared between two people standing at their thresholds opens something larger. You become a bridge for someone else's crossing, and in doing so, both fields strengthen through the recognition. Let me give you something specific to hold on to as you move through the rest of this transmission and into the hours and days that follow. Let me give you the quantum mechanics of what you are about to do, stated as precisely as I can state it. You are a quantum observer. This is not metaphor. This is physics. Your consciousness is a system that collapses probability into specific reality through the act of observation. What you observe, what you attend to, what you focus on, what you believe to be real, determines which of the infinite possible states in the quantum field collapses into your experienced reality. The old program was collapsing the old states. the new frequency will collapse the new states. The crossing is the act of changing what you are observing, not by force, not by effort, not by trying to see something you don't actually see, but by crossing the threshold into the state from which the new observation is natural. By moving into the frequency from which the new reality is what you automatically observe. This is what the gate does. The gate is a frequency threshold. On this side of the gate, the old observations are natural, and the old reality collapses. On the other side of the gate, the new observations are natural and the new reality collapses. The crossing is the act of moving your quantum observation point from one side of the threshold to the other. And once your observation point has crossed, the old reality cannot sustain itself, because the old reality was a product of the old observation, and the old observation no longer operates from the new frequency. This is why there is no going back from a real threshold crossing. Not because the old state is destroyed, but because the observer that was sustaining it has crossed into a new state. The old reality, deprived of the observation that was sustaining it, collapses, not dramatically, not all at once in the external world, but inevitably, completely, in the direction of the new frequency. You are the observer. The crossing changes you, and in changing you, it changes everything you observe. And in changing everything you observe, it changes everything that collapses into your reality. This is the quantum mechanics of the final warning. This is why tonight matters. This is why the window is the window. Because the alignment between your current quantum observation point and the threshold of the new frequency is at its maximum right now. Because the distance between where your observation is currently operating and where the new observation operates is at its minimum right now. Because the crossing from here to there requires less energy, less force, less effort right now than it will at any other point in this cycle. The universe has spent this entire period, this entire liminal, between worlds time you've been living in, moving you closer to the threshold. Every signal, every warning, every loss and opening and strange stillness and sense of something approaching. All of it has been the universe reducing the distance between your current observation point and the threshold of the new frequency. And now the distance is at its minimum. And the final warning is saying, cross now. Let me tell you what to do with this in the hours and days that follow this transmission. Let me give you the practical quantum mechanics of what happens after the crossing begins, and how to stay in the new frequency as the external world begins its reorganization. The first thing, the most important thing, is to notice the pull to return. After a threshold crossing, the old frequency doesn't disappear immediately. It continues to operate in the background, the way an old program continues running in the background of a computer after you've opened a new one. It generates signals. It produces familiar feelings. It offers the comfort of the known, the safety of the established, the reassurance of the predictable. These signals will arrive. You will feel them as doubt, as second-guessing, as the sudden conviction that you made a mistake, that the crossing was premature, that the old state was actually fine, and you were being reckless to leave it. You will feel them as the pull of old patterns, old relationships, old habits, old ways of seeing yourself and your situation, that feel suddenly very appealing now that you've moved away from them. Do not follow the pull. Not because the old state is bad or wrong or something to be rejected, but because the pull is not actually an invitation to return to the old state. It is the old program completing its final execution. It is the last run of the old code before it closes. And if you follow it, if you cross back through the gate in response to the pull, you don't return to the old state. You return to a confused state, a state caught between the two frequencies, unable to fully inhabit either one. The static period is not a signal to retreat. The static period is a signal to hold the new frequency. So, when the pull comes, and it will come, acknowledge it. Don't fight it. Don't suppress it. Don't pretend it isn't there. Just acknowledge it the way you acknowledge weather. I see you. I feel you. I know what you are. You are the old program completing its final execution. And I am not following you back. And then return your attention to the new frequency. Return your attention to the feeling you found in the crossing practice. The ground state, the relief, the recognition, the sense of being in your own corner. Return to that feeling and let it be the anchor. The quantum anchor that keeps your observation point on the new side of the threshold, while the external world reorganizes around it. The second thing, equally important, is to act from the new frequency, not dramatically, not with grand gestures or public declarations or burning of bridges, but in small, consistent, daily acts that express the new state rather than the old one. Actions that are natural from the new frequency, that feel like expression rather than effort, like being rather than doing. These actions will be different for everyone, because the new frequency is specific to each consciousness. But you will recognize them. They will feel lighter than the old actions. They will feel more like moving in the direction you're actually facing, rather than pushing against your own grain. They will feel in the specific way that all genuinely aligned actions feel, like the right thing to do. Do them, even when they're small, especially when they're small. The small actions from the new frequency are more powerful than large actions from the old one, because the power is not in the size of the action. The power is in the frequency from which it's taken. The power is in the quantum observation point from which it collapses probability into reality. Act from the new frequency every day, in whatever small ways are available to you, and watch what begins to collapse. The third thing, and this is the thing that will sustain the crossing through the static period and into the full reorganization, is to remember that you are not alone in this. This is something the quantum model of consciousness makes clear in a way that is both surprising and deeply reassuring. Consciousness does not evolve in isolation. The quantum field is not divided into separate, isolated systems. It is a unified field, a single, interconnected probability space in which every consciousness is embedded and through which every threshold crossing creates ripples that affect every other consciousness in the field. When you cross your gate, you change the field. You create a new resonance point in the unified field, a new frequency that other consciousnesses can entrain to. You make the crossing slightly easier for every other consciousness that is approaching a similar threshold. You contribute to the evolution of the whole by completing your own crossing. And conversely, every other consciousness that has crossed a similar threshold has made your crossing easier. The field carries the resonance of every previous crossing. The gate you're standing at has been stood at before. The threshold you're crossing has been crossed before. And the resonance of those crossings, the accumulated frequency of every consciousness that has made this transition, is present in the field, supporting your crossing, amplifying the resonance of the window you're in. You are not crossing alone. You are crossing with the resonance of every consciousness that has crossed before you. And you are crossing for every consciousness that will cross after you. This is the quantum community of threshold crossers. Not a group you join or a community you belong to in any external sense, but a resonance field you become part of through the act of crossing. A frequency you add your signal to, a unified field of evolution that you contribute to with every threshold you cross. Feel that. Feel the resonance of that community as you stand at this gate. Feel the support of every consciousness that has stood at a gate like this one and crossed. Feel the amplification of their accumulated crossing energy in the field around you. You are held. You are supported. The field is with you, and the gate is open. Let me tell you something about the midnight of this transmission's title. The final warning before midnight. Let me tell you what midnight actually means in the quantum mechanics of consciousness evolution. Midnight is the threshold between one day and the next. It is the precise moment where one cycle completes and another begins. It is the point of maximum darkness, the furthest point from both the previous noon and the next one, the point where the old light has fully faded and the new light has not yet arrived, the point of maximum liminal suspension. And it is the crossing point, Every cycle has a midnight. Every period of accumulation, every phase of energy building toward a transition has a midnight, a point of maximum darkness and maximum potential. The point where the old state has reached its final configuration and the new state is fully charged and ready to emerge. You are at midnight right now, not the midnight of defeat or despair or ending. The midnight of maximum potential. The midnight that precedes the dawn. The midnight that is not the end of the cycle, but the exact crossing point between the end of the old cycle and the beginning of the new one. The final warning before midnight is the signal that says, the crossing point is here. The threshold is right here. The moment of maximum potential. The moment where the old state has completed its arc and the new state is fully charged and ready, is right here. Cross now. Not because midnight is dangerous, because midnight is the gate. Because midnight is the exact moment of maximum alignment between where you are and where you're going. Because midnight is the resonance window at its peak. Because midnight is the moment the universe has been preparing you for, with every signal, every warning, every loss and opening and strange stillness and forward pull. This is midnight, and the gate is open. I want to spend a moment on what the other side of midnight looks like. What the dawn that follows this crossing actually feels like when it arrives. Because part of what makes the crossing possible, part of what makes the step through the gate available, is being able to sense what you're stepping into, not in detail, but in quality, in frequency, in the specific texture of the state that exists on the other side of this threshold. The dawn after midnight is not a gradual brightening. It is a threshold crossing of its own. The darkness of midnight does not slowly lighten into grey, and then into pale light, and then into full morning. The threshold is crossed, and the quality of the experience changes completely. The liminal suspension ends. The between worlds feeling resolves. The sense of being caught in the passage, not quite here, not quite there, not quite the old version, and not quite the new one, that sense ends. And what arrives in its place is clarity. Not the clarity of having all the answers, not the clarity of knowing exactly what comes next, or how everything will unfold, but the clarity of being in your own frequency, the clarity of operating from your ground state, the clarity of observing from the right position, the position that is genuinely, naturally, effortlessly yours. From that clarity, the path forward becomes visible, not all at once, not in a single revelation that shows you the entire trajectory of what comes next, but step by step, in the way that a path through a forest becomes visible as you walk it, the next step clear, and then the step after that, and then the one after that, each one visible only from the position of having taken the previous one. From the other side of midnight, the path is walkable. From the other side of midnight, the things that seemed impossible from the old frequency become available. Not because the external world has changed yet. Remember, the external world takes time to catch up, but because the observation has changed. Because the quantum observer has crossed the threshold. Because what you are collapsing from the probability field is different now. From the other side of midnight, you meet the people who belong in the new state. This is one of the most remarkable things about threshold crossings. The way the new frequency attracts new resonances. The way crossing a gate changes not just your internal state, but your external field, your relational reality, the quality of consciousness you encounter in the world. The old frequency was a filter that selected for certain kinds of connection and certain kinds of experience. The new frequency is a different filter, one that selects for connection and experience that matches the new state. After the crossing, you begin to meet people who belong to the new chapter. Some of them you already know. Some of them are people who have been in your life, but who you've been unable to fully connect with, because the old frequency was creating interference. After the crossing, the interference clears. The connection that was always possible becomes actual. Some of them you haven't met yet, but the new frequency will bring them into your field, not through effort or strategy or searching, through resonance, through the simple fact that your quantum observation point has moved to the frequency where they exist, and in moving there, you've made yourself visible to them and them visible to you. The new frequency finds its people. It always does. From the other side of midnight, the work becomes expression. This is the shift that is hardest to describe and most significant to experience. The work, whatever form your contribution to the world takes, stops being something you do and becomes something you are. The effort quality changes. The pushing water uphill quality dissolves. What replaces it is not effortlessness exactly. There is still action, still engagement, still the energy of doing. But it is the energy of expression rather than the energy of performance. It is the energy of something flowing out from a genuine source rather than something being generated by an external requirement. The work becomes joy. Not the fragile, conditional joy that depends on outcomes and recognition and external validation. The deep, steady, structural joy of being in right relationship with your own existence. The joy that doesn't require anything to go right, because it is not contingent on things going right. The joy that is the natural quality of the ground state. The joy that is simply what it feels like to be in the most natural, most stable, most energy-efficient configuration of your own being. That joy is waiting on the other side of this gate. It has always been waiting. The gate is open. Cross now. There is one more thing I want to give you before we close this transmission. One more piece of the quantum mechanics of this crossing that I haven't fully addressed yet, because it is the piece that is most easy to miss and most important to hold. The crossing is irreversible. I've said this before, but I want to say it again with full precision, because the irreversibility is not a warning. It is the greatest gift of the crossing. It is the thing that makes the crossing safe in a way that nothing on the old side of the gate is safe. On the old side of the gate, everything is reversible. Every decision can be undone. Every step forward can be retreated from. Every moment of growth can be abandoned when the discomfort gets too great. The old state offers the illusion of safety through reversibility, the constant availability of the exit, the always open door back to the familiar, the perpetual option of returning to who you were. But that reversibility is not safety. That reversibility is the mechanism of the cycle of approaching the gate and retreating, of accumulating energy and dissipating it, of getting close to the threshold and then pulling back, of living in the liminal space between who you were and who you're becoming, never fully inhabiting either state, never completing the crossing, never arriving on the other side. The reversibility of the old state is what keeps you in the cycle. The irreversibility of the crossing is what ends it. When you cross the gate, when you genuinely, fully, quantum mechanically cross the threshold, the old state collapses. Not because you destroyed it, because the observer that was sustaining it has moved. And without the observer, the old state cannot maintain itself. It dissolves. Not all at once, not immediately in the external world, but inevitably and completely. And the dissolution is the gift. Because once the old state has dissolved, you can't return to it, even if you wanted to. The option is gone. The exit is closed. The door back to the familiar is no longer a door. It is a wall, and standing in front of that wall, in the state that exists on the other side of the gate, you realize something that couldn't have been understood from the old side. You realize that the wall is freedom. The inability to return to the old state is not a loss. It is the end of the cycle. It is the completion of the accumulation. It is the resolution of the liminal suspension. It is the arrival, the actual, irreversible, permanent arrival in the state you've been approaching for this entire period of your life. The irreversibility is the gift. The gate closing behind you is the gift. The point of no return is the gift. Because on the other side of the gate, with the old state fully dissolved and the new state fully established, you are free in a way you have never been free before. Free from the cycle. Free from the pull of the old frequency. Free from the performance of the old state. Free to be, fully and without qualification, the version of yourself that has always been waiting on the other side of this threshold. That freedom is what the final warning is pointing toward. That freedom is what the resonance window is opening into. That freedom is what midnight is the threshold of. And the gate is open, and the window is now, and the crossing is available to you in this moment, in this transmission, in this final warning moment of your cycle. Cross now. Let me bring this transmission to its close with something simple, something that cuts through all the quantum mechanics and the philosophy and the parable and the practice, and arrives at the bare, precise truth of what this moment is. You have been standing at this gate for longer than you know. You have been accumulating the energy for this crossing through every experience of your life, through every jhon and every las and every threshold approached, and every retreat and every cycle of building toward something that felt just out of reach. All of it has been the heating of the water. All of it has been the approach to the threshold. All of it has been the preparation for this exact moment. And this moment is here. The gate is open. The window is at its peak. The resonance is perfect. The crossing is available. And the final warning, this transmission, this moment, this precise point in the cycle where the universe sends its last clear signal before the window begins to close, the final warning is saying one thing and one thing only. You are ready. Not ready in the sense of having all the answers, or feeling all the certainty, or understanding everything that's on the other side. Ready in the quantum sense. Ready in the sense of having accumulated sufficient energy for the phase transition. Ready in the sense of being at the exact temperature required for the crossing. Ready in the sense of being in maximum resonance with the state that exists on the other side of this threshold. You are ready. The universe has been building you toward this crossing for your entire life. And the final warning is the universe saying, the building is complete. The accumulation is sufficient. The window is open. The gate is wide. The conditions are optimal. The resonance is perfect. Cross now, cross now, cross now. And when you do, when you take that breath, when you release the old state, when you move your weight forward instead of backward, when you step through the gate and arrive on the other side, know this: the universe will meet you there. Not as a reward for crossing, not as a validation of your choice, but as the natural expression of what the universe has always been doing, evolving through you, becoming through you, crossing its own thresholds through the specific, irreplaceable, unrepeatable threshold crossing that is your life. The universe will meet you on the other side, and you will recognize yourself, and you will understand that you were always going to end up here, and the gate will be behind you, and the new state will be your only state, and the dawn after midnight will be fully present, and you will be home. The gate is open. The window is now. The final warning has been received. Cross. If this transmission found you in a moment of stillness, return to it when you stand at your next threshold. It will speak differently from the other side. And if you know someone in that strange in-between place right now, send this to them. You may be the signal the universe is using to reach them. Tell me in the comments, what is the threshold you are standing at right now? The one you can feel but haven't yet named? The universe has been attempting to speak to you long before this transmission arrived. And that conversation goes deeper than you may realize. The video on the universe's signals and what it means when they begin to reach a frequency you can no longer ignore is the natural next step from everything you just crossed through. It is already waiting for you.